My beloved child, do not rush past this moment, for there are graces in the area of finances that I once placed in your hands, which darkness is quietly trying to exchange. I have prepared a portion of blessing bearing your name for a very long time, waiting only for you to open your heart and take hold of it. Do not let this moment slip away, for what I am about to say may be the key that reopens a door you thought was shut forever. There are people who spend an entire lifetime before they realize that the very name they carry has become a wall blocking the blessings I long to give. Behind the disappointments in finances and the erosion of your honor, there are not only cold numbers but a silent conflict between my will and the realm of darkness. And if you do not recognize this in time, the miracle I prepared for you from the beginning can remain suspended right before your eyes, yet never be touched by you. You have thought that you were only struggling with lack, but in truth, you are walking through an invisible battlefield. Every pressure that weighs on your shoulders, every time you feel that you are just about to receive it, only to see it slip from your hands, is not mere misfortune. It is the place where your name, the identity you carry, has been clung to by marks that do not come from me. And with each step you take, that name either opens the way for miracles or unconsciously locks shut the very door I am trying to push open. There are those who live their whole lives with the feeling that their road is always being cut short. Just as they try to step up, they are pulled down just as a bit of light appears. Clouds cover it again. It is not that I do not listen, but that invisible bonds are disputing the ownership of your life. Your name, which was meant to be a seal of blessing, has been turned into a target for accusations in the spiritual realm. But do not be discouraged. I do not reveal these things to weaken you, but to awaken you from a long fog of confusion. When you recognize what is hindering the blessing and what it is clinging to, you will know how to stand in the authority I have given you. This battle is not meant to make you lose, but to help you understand that everything I have promised you is real, if only you will not allow your own name to be turned into chains. There have been seasons when you poured out your whole heart praying until your voice grew hoarse, fasting until your body was exhausted, believing until your heart felt as though it would break, and yet everything still seemed unmoved. The miracle was not gone, but it remained before you as if suspended between heaven and earth, visible yet beyond your reach. In those long days, your inner being began to wear down. Outwardly, you kept smiling to play your part, but inside you were drying up like a flickering lamp. You started condemning yourself. Perhaps he no longer hears me. Perhaps I am no longer good enough. Perhaps everything is already ruined. This condition of a blocked miracle leads many into a weary gray zone. They do not leave me, yet they no longer expect anything great from me. That is the most dangerous place of all, where the heart still sits in my house, but its hope has already been buried in the graveyard. I tell you this not to frighten you, but to awaken you. Delay does not always come from me. Often it is a sign that a power is holding your miracle back, keeping it hanging in the air like a taunt. There are days when you stand before me with weakened hands, thinking that if you could just persevere a little longer, the miracle would break forth. Yet, as the weeks and months pass, your expectation shatters into wordless silences. I know how many times your heart has quietly asked, why does what I pray for remain suspended? But in that very silence, I see something even more serious than your unfulfilled dreams. I see the weariness that is slowly eating away at the faith you have in me. And as your faith erodes, you begin to believe that you are no longer worthy to receive a miracle. I want you to remember what I have spoken. The righteous shall live by faith, Hebrews 1:038. Because the miracle has not vanished, it is only that your heart sometimes grows weak before it can reach it. During that long, drawn-out time, you began to feel as though all your efforts were disappearing into emptiness. You kept doing what was right, praying sincerely, maintaining an upright heart, yet the door seemed not to move at all. I see you trying to smile so that no one will worry. But I also see the nights when you lie still, not daring to voice your disappointment. You think I am distant. Yet in reality I am standing so near that I can feel even the sigh of your breath. Do not forget that even when the miracle has not yet opened, I am still keeping you as I promised in Isaiah 4:110. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Delay is not the evidence of abandonment. It is the space in which I reshape your wings before you fly. There will be moments when you watch those around you step into a season of ease while you are still struggling through a long wait. You are not jealous, yet you cannot understand why their paths open so quickly. I want you to know that each person's miracle carries a different weight. Some come early because they are light to carry. Others come later because they contain greater things. At times I must lengthen your journey to protect you from the haste that could destroy what I have prepared. When I pause, you assume it is failure, but in my eyes, it is necessary preparation. Just as Psalm 27:14 says, "Wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart." You only need to remain steadfast, everything else I will take care of. I also clearly see how your soul is being worn down little by little in the days before the miracle arrives. A person may stand firm before a great, sudden trial, yet grow weary under a quiet, prolonged one. You are tired because you do not know where your future is heading. Tired because no matter how much effort you make, you seem to remain in the same place. But what I want you to realize is this: not every standstill is a failure. There are moments when I require you to stand still. As in Exodus 1:4, the Lord will fight for you. You need only be still. When everything seems to stop, it is not that the blessing has stopped, but that I am fighting for you in the realm you cannot see. Yet it is precisely this silence that causes many to slip into the gray zone of faith where they do not leave me, but no longer expect anything from me. You still come to me, but your heart is not as open as before. You pray but no longer anticipate. You worship but no longer believe that a miracle can happen for you personally. My heart hurts when I see you standing there, half believing and half doubting, while I have never withdrawn a single promise I made to you. That is why I long to remind you gently that faith is not a passing feeling, but a living connection between you and me. If you allow hope to be buried, then even when the miracle comes near, it will struggle to reach you. The deeper cause of delay lies not merely in circumstances, but in the battle between your faith and the voices that are crowding your mind. I see how often you blame yourself, concluding that you are not good enough, not strong enough, not spiritual enough. But I have never required you to be enough in the way you imagine. I only ask that you come to me with a true heart, without hiding and without condemning yourself. I have declared in Psalm 3:4-18 that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. It is precisely when you are most weary that I draw nearest to you. Delay is not meant to expose your weakness, but to reveal my sufficiency. My child, I know there are days when you feel as though you have been placed in a long corridor with no exit, but that feeling is not the truth. It is only the result of fixing your eyes on time instead of on me. Time makes you discouraged, but I renew your strength day by day. What you need is not an immediate answer, but a heart willing to take my hand once again. When you return to me and fix your gaze on me rather than on the delay, you will find that your steps are no longer so heavy. The door does not open because you are impatient. It opens when your heart is at peace enough to walk through it. Do not fear delay, for it has no authority to define your ending. Delay can only tire you, but it cannot defeat you as long as you still cling to me. While you think you are merely waiting for a financial miracle, I am building within you a person of depth, of authority, and of capacity to guard the blessing when it comes. The miracle I give is not only to solve today's crisis, but to establish your future in stability. What I do in silence is always greater than what you ask for in tears. And when the appointed time comes, you will understand why I chose you to walk this path. And my child, when your heart begins to grasp the meaning of delay, you will step into a deeper level of understanding. For it is not only circumstances that hinder you, but other realities in the spiritual realm that contend for influence over your life. What is taking place behind your name, behind the bloodline you carry, is not as simple as you have imagined. Yet this is what I will unveil to you, so that you no longer live in confusion, but in the authority I destined for you from the very beginning. There are truths that do not shout, yet they engrave themselves deeply upon a person's destiny, and you only recognize them when you have walked far enough to become weary. I see how, at times, a feeling rises within you that something seems to be working against me, even though you have done nothing wrong. That is not an illusion. In the unseen realm, voices have been echoing from generations past, forming boundaries that you never signed but are still bound by. This is not merely today's story, it is the residue of covenants once made by those who went before you. I want to remind you of my word in Exodus 2:05, that spiritual consequences can extend to the third and fourth generation, not to condemn you, but to alert you that there are invisible cords which can still tighten very strongly. There are families that live under dark declarations which no one ever names, yet everyone feels their effects. One person works hard a whole lifetime and gains nothing. Another has great talent but can never break through. Still, another always comes close to success but never fully enters into it. These things are not merely bad luck or wrong timing, but signs of invisible locks attached to a bloodline. I do not want you to be afraid, but to understand, so that you will stop blaming yourself. For I have proclaimed in Galatians 3:1-3 that Christ has redeemed you from every curse, meaning those locks can be broken. But before they can be broken, you must first recognize that they are there. There are covenants in the realm of darkness that were made on the very honor of a family line, in exchange for some benefit or protection, causing later generations to walk unconsciously under that shadow. You did not sign those covenants, yet your very name has been affected by them. That is why there are people who, the harder they try, the more they feel as if they are swimming against a fierce current, not because they are lacking, but because the spiritual current is not flowing in their favor. I see every drop of your sweat. Every time you ask yourself, why do I work so much and reap so little? It is not that miracles are slow, but that there is a contention in the unseen realm blocking the way. I want you to understand that in Ephesians 6:1-2 I have already made it clear, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood. What you are facing is not people, but powers you cannot see with your physical eyes. Do you know why there are people who are gentle, diligent, and kind, yet every time they are about to step into a good opportunity, it slips away? It is because over their name, an unseen limit has been placed, one they do not even know is there. It is not a limit I have set, but an invisible label left behind by old agreements. This one is not allowed to prosper. This one is not allowed to rise. This one may only live in just enough lack. The most painful part is that many people believe that is simply their destiny, when I never ordained such a thing for them. I created each person in my image, to have dominion, not to be controlled. That is why I prepared for you the power of the word in John 8:3-6. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. You are not obligated to inherit what is dark. You have the right to break it. But I also understand the confusion many fall into. They think every form of poverty is only about lack of skill, lack of opportunity, lack of effort. They do not realize there is an entire spiritual record being written against what I desire to do in their lives. You have wondered why you are trying in the right way, yet your results still fall short of your expectations. It is because you are fighting not only circumstances, but also old records that are calling your name in a way that contradicts what I have called you. I want you to hear clearly in your heart, I have not destined you to live under generational limitation. I have destined you to be the one who stands up and ends that cycle for the generations after you. Just as Joshua 2:4-15 speaks of separating oneself from the gods of the ancestors, you too have the right to step out of that ancestral darkness at the root. My child, even when those dark things are real, you do not need to tremble, for my power is greater than every bondage, and my name is higher than every covenant forged in the shadows. All you need to do is draw near to me, so I may shine light into the hidden corners you never dared to touch. I do not only want to rescue you from twisted roots, I want to redefine your entire bloodline, so that the generations after you will no longer pay the price for what they did not cause. When you rise up, the whole spiritual atmosphere shifts with you. I am with you, just as I have spoken in Isaiah 5:9-1. Surely the arm of the Lord is not too short to save. Whatever is binding you cannot extend beyond that arm. And as you gradually become aware of the truth buried deep in your own bloodline, you will understand why miracles of provision and honor are not only about you personally. They touch the roots, the identity, and the inheritance you carry from previous generations. If you look closely, this will open up to you a deeper layer of understanding that the battle is not merely against attacks on your wallet or your opportunities, but against the very name and standing you carry before me. And when that name has been covered over with false labels, I will continue to lead you one step further, so you can see clearly what is actually being stolen. There are wounds that do not lie on your skin, but right inside your name. And every time you hear someone call you, you unconsciously nod in agreement with accusations that have clung to you from who knows when. I see how your heart tightens whenever you remember the times you were rejected, the dreams that broke, the failed interviews, the unfinished projects. No one else even needs to criticize you anymore. You whisper to yourself the very negative words the enemy longs for you to believe. It does not need to strip away your money first. It only needs to strip away the image you have of yourself. For if you forget who you are, every blessing I long to give will feel too big for a heart that has already shrunk back. As Proverbs 2:3-7 says, "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he." When you believe a false label, you begin to live in the shape of that label. I see the moments when you quietly sigh at the thought of your future. You do not dare to dream big anymore, because every time you step toward a dream, fear rushes in to remind you of past disappointments, and so you close the door yourself before you even try to knock. But my child, the labels the world has stuck onto you, untrustworthy, in debt, incompetent, slow and behind, do not come from me. They are only flimsy stickers slapped on by people or by darkness, not by the hand that formed you. I call you by another name, a name written in the book of life, where there is not a single line declaring you a failure. Remember Isaiah 4:3-1, I have called you by name, you are mine. And when I call you, every other label must step aside. What grieves me most is not simply that you are hurt by the world, but that you have believed those lies for so long that they have turned into truth inside your heart. You begin to live overly cautious, afraid to bother anyone, afraid to be wrong, afraid to be rejected one more time. I never created you to live shriveled up like that. I created you in my image, strong, valuable, full of honor. But when you agree with accusations, your own mouth unintentionally confirms the verdict against you. This is what I want you to awaken to, because James 3:10 reminds you that out of the same mouth should not come both blessing and cursing. If you use your words to condemn yourself, how can you receive the blessing I am extending to you? There are times I desire to give you a new opportunity, Yet you step into it with the posture of one who does not believe they deserve it. You think blessing is only for those who are stronger, more capable, more holy than you. But that is not how I choose, my people. I choose by the heart, not by resumes. When you come to me with a tender heart, I count that more precious than every ability you possess. Remember that the people I used in Scripture once bore terrible labels before I changed their names. Abram became Abraham. Sarai became Sarah. Jacob became Israel. I did not change their names just so they would have a title. I changed their names to remind them of their true destiny. Do you know why darkness wants to take your honor before it takes your possessions? Because honor is the root from which blessing springs. A person who does not believe they have any worth will not dare to receive great things, nor dare to keep what is precious. So it traps you in cycles. You build a little, then collapse. You rise a bit, then lose your direction. It does not want you to see yourself as my child, because once you truly know that, every spiritual chain loses its power. As John 1:12 says, "Yet to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God." You are not only saved, you have been given authority. Those false labels do more than hurt you. They keep you from seeing the next step I want to lead you into. When you believe you are small, you will hesitate to enter the places I have prepared. When you believe you are lacking, you will not dare to receive great grace. When you believe you are incapable, you will avoid the doors I have already opened. But my child, I want to bring you through a doorway far wider than anything you have imagined. I want you to live as an heir, not as a borrower. I want your mind washed clean of every distortion so you can hear my voice more clearly than the voice of your past. And when you begin to touch the truth about who you really are, that you are not the product of failure, but the expression of my eternal will, a deeper reality will begin to unfold. Because those labels do not only make you afraid to walk forward, they also blur what I am dealing with in your destiny. Then you will see that what you thought was merely a money problem was only the surface. Behind it, I am touching far greater things, dimensions you have not yet recognized, but to which I will lead you in the next step. There are things I do that confuse you, because I do not resolve matters at the speed you desire. You think you are only asking for a little margin to pay your debts, a breather to catch your breath, a single door to step out of the cycle. But what I see in you is always greater than what you ask. If I were to answer quickly without dealing with the depths of your heart, the blessing you receive could become a burden too heavy for you to carry. I never want to place in your hands a gift that will cause you to stumble. As Proverbs 10:22 says, the blessing of the Lord brings wealth, without painful toil for it. If I have not yet opened the door, it is not because I am withholding, it is because I am dismantling the very things that would wound you more deeply once the blessing comes. There are doors I intentionally close, and many times you think, I am refusing you. But you do not know that behind that door are subtle traps you have not yet discerned, people you think are friends but who in reality harbor jealousy, opportunities that seem good but actually open into chains of bondage, successes that look like blessings but that lead you into pride. You see only a moment, but I see the whole picture. When I appear to slow things down, it is not that I am slow, I am shielding your steps so that you do not wander into a place that was never meant for you. As Psalm 1:2-1:7 says, the Lord will keep you from all harm. You have no idea how many disasters I have removed from your path simply by saying, not yet. The delay you feel is sometimes not a delay at all, but the alignment of heaven. I rearrange circumstances, clear the road for your relationships, remove those who intend to use you, and heal the hidden corners of your soul. I do all these things in silence, so that when the extraordinary blessing comes, you can stand firm, not trembling, not stumbling because of the surprise, Do not despise this process, for it is the very foundation of the season of abundance you are about to enter. As 1 Peter 5:10 says, "After you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace will himself restore you, make you strong, firm, and steadfast." I am laying the foundation before I build the house. I want you to understand this very clearly. A financial miracle is not my final goal for you. It is only a part of the journey I use to reshape your character, your faith, and your vision. If you only ask for money, you will receive something small. But if you ask for transformation, you will receive an entirely new life. Many people receive blessing but not maturity, and then the blessing becomes a magnifying glass for their weaknesses. I do not want you to step into success with an unripe heart, for that could destroy you from within. As Psalm 3:7-4 teaches, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." If you allow me to change the desires of your heart, I will change the very path on which you walk, and then there will come a time when you look back and realize that I was never late. I was simply meticulous in every stage. You are not being left behind. You are being prepared to go farther than you ever imagined. There are quiet movements of mine in your life that human eyes cannot see, things that help you understand why maturity matters more than haste. And when your heart begins to recognize the purpose of the process, I will lead you one step further into the land where blessings are no longer a test, but a testimony to your faithfulness. And my child, when you are about to touch the blessing, it is also the moment I need to remind you of the most delicate point in this journey, the place where many stumble, not before the miracle, but after it arrives. For the most troubling thing is not that you do not yet have money, but that once you have it, you might lose me. But that I will speak to you about in the next step. There are moments when I see your joy as what you have longed for finally takes shape, and I rejoice with you. But immediately after that joy, there is something subtler that only a father can perceive. Sometimes the blessing comes and causes your heart to shift in a different way. You begin to grow accustomed to abundance and forget the days you wept in lack. It is not that you are ungrateful, but that your heart is easily distracted by what is new. That is why I keep reminding you in Deuteronomy 8:1-1, "Be careful that you do not forget the Lord your God." You forget not because you intend to, but because the blessing comes so gently that you think you have already entered a safe zone. You once asked me to lift you up, and when I did, that very height made you no longer hear my voice as clearly as before. You became busier, more honored, burdened with more responsibility, all of which are good things. But if you do not guard your heart, they will occupy the place that belongs to me alone within you. I have watched many people begin in humility and end in pride simply because they thought they themselves created their success. I do not condemn them, but I grieve for them. For what is most worth keeping is not the new possessions but the old heart, the heart that once trusted me against all odds. Remember the words of 1 Corinthians 4:7, "What do you have that you did not receive, if you know you received it from me? You will guard it differently. I know you do not mean to drift away from me, but abundance sometimes makes you center your life on what can be seen. You become busy taking care of the blessing to the point that you no longer tend to the source of the blessing. That is when favor turns into pressure. Joy becomes a burden, and gratitude is replaced by mere obligation. A blessing that is not kept in its rightful place will make your heart more weary than lack ever did. But if you allow me to hold the highest place in your heart, then no matter how great the blessing, it will never be able to control you. As Matthew 6:2-1 says, "Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." I want your heart to be anchored in the place that can never be shaken. I do not prevent you from possessing wealth. I only fear that wealth will possess you. I rejoice when I see you having opportunities, success, Honor the very things you once wept and asked for in anguish. But I have also watched hearts fall apart right in the midst of the very blessings they received. They forget that blessing is not the final goal, but a tool through which I reveal my kindness through them. If you keep a grateful heart, blessing will flow through your life like clear water. If not, it will stagnate and spoil the very source. I counsel you as in Proverbs 3:9, honor the Lord with your wealth. It is the surrender of your heart that protects the blessing you receive. And my child, the greatest danger is not losing money, but losing me from the first place in your heart, for when that happens, money becomes overly important. Honor turns into a burden, and success becomes a mirror that magnifies your weaknesses. I will not allow you to drift into that condition. I teach you to love me first, so that you will not lose yourself later. Gratitude is not merely an attitude. It is the anchor that keeps your soul steady amid the great waves of prosperity. As long as gratitude is alive, your blessing will be safe in your hands. Remember, the financial miracle you have been waiting for so long is not the final period of the journey, but a gentle test to see whether you choose to be a reservoir or a channel. A reservoir keeps blessing for itself and is easily polluted. A channel allows me to flow through it and is constantly renewed. I want you to be a channel, one through whom my blessing passes and through whom my name is honored. And when you live like that, your blessing will never run dry, because I am the source that never stops flowing. My beloved child, in this moment, I want you to pause for a while and feel the gentle silence that is covering your soul, because it is precisely in that silence that I am whispering things you were once too weary to hear in full. Today, I want to engrave deeply into your heart a truth that the world cannot explain. In the spiritual realm, nothing moves merely because of need or circumstances. Everything is stirred by what proceeds from the human heart, by your faith, by the tenderness that allows me to lead you, by the humility that bows before my holy will, and by the spirit of surrender when you lay your burdens at my feet instead of holding them tightly to your chest. When you open your heart in this moment, when your soul stops struggling and begins to listen, I am already at work, not with noisy actions, but with deep movements in the unseen place, where chains are being loosened that your eyes cannot detect, where financial doors that have been locked for many years are beginning to give way without your knowing, where dark records that have clung to your bloodline are being erased by my very authority. You do not know that there are spiritual verdicts that were issued generations ago, judgments never spoken aloud but existing like a film of dust on your name and your breath, making you feel, no matter how hard you try, that some invisible force is always pulling you back. But today, I am breathing a new wind over those files. I am rolling up each worn-out page. I am bringing to an end the lines that once decreed that you were only allowed to live in lack, in debt, in dead ends. I am shattering the accusations you have had to carry, the words your ancestors never meant to leave behind yet that have clung to your blood like a stain no one can see. I am freeing you from the dark whispers that have followed you like a shadow, lurking every time you were about to step into new days, trying to dim the light I placed in you before the foundation of the universe. My child, that light has never gone out. There have only been weary days that kept your eyes from seeing how brightly you actually shine. You think you are just an ordinary person, but I have engraved my image on your soul. You think you are weak, but in me you have a strength greater than you ever dared to believe. You think you have no worth, but I have written your name in the highest place of heaven, and no matter how many powers try to cover it, that light still pierces every layer of haze to return to the identity that has always belonged to you. Today I declare this with seriousness and with love. Your name will be restored. What circumstances have done to fade your honor, I will polish again. Opportunities that slipped from your hands, I will turn back in ways that will amaze you. Promises you thought had been removed, I am bringing back. The miracle I have long prepared. The financial gift, marked with your name. The thing I never place in the wrong hands today, I place it into yours. Not because you are perfect, but because my grace is great enough to uphold those who have grown weary on the road. Not a single thing you have ever pleaded for has been lost in the air. Your seemingly small prayers have risen before my throne like fragrance, and not one tear that has fallen has been meaningless. I have gathered every drop. I have heard your silent sobs when no one knew, your sighs when sleep had not yet come, your self-accusations when you saw yourself as less than others, even though you had done all you could. I know you think you are unworthy, but I see the whole of your heart where some parts are torn by wounds, yet still choose to trust me even if only with a faint breath. That is what moves me. I do not come to you as a distant, cold, invisible being, nor as a stern judge demanding repayment. I come as a father bending down to look at his little child, exhausted by life, as a loving one who still patiently waits for you even when you have doubted, complained, and been slow to believe. I come as a Lord of all power, and yet of great gentleness, ready to open my arms and draw you close. And in the midst of all these things, I ask only one thing of you, one thing that seems small yet is the foundation of every miracle. Keep your heart steadfast. Steadfast does not mean you are so strong that you never feel fear. Steadfast means you do not let your soul be swept away by the voices that make you forget what I have spoken. Steadfast is standing before what you do not yet see while trusting what I am doing even now. Steadfast is letting your gratitude remain unfaded even when the blessing has not yet appeared. Steadfast is continuing to place your hand in mine, even when you do not yet understand the path I lead you on. That steadfastness is the rock beneath your feet, so that when miracles touch your life, they will not be like a sudden gust of wind that knocks you down, but will become a lasting testimony of the love I have for you. You must understand that every time you stand firm in faith, the spiritual realm also stands firm in the direction I have ordained. When your heart does not waver, hell itself cannot shake you. When your heart clings to me, every curse that has held tightly to your life must let go, for it cannot dwell in the heart of one who knows to whom they belong. When you hold on to hope, the financial doors that once shut tight will open as though they had never been locked. When you maintain surrender, every unjust spiritual debt that has demanded payment will be canceled by my hand. When you remain humble, the miracles I give you will not turn into burdens. And when you walk in obedience, what I do in your life will not stop at changing your circumstances. It will change you how you see yourself, how you see others, and how you see me. Do not think that all I do is only about your wallet or your outward reputation. What I am doing is always deeper, wider, and more enduring than what your eyes can see. I never stop merely at answering your requests. I stop at restoring your soul, rebuilding your identity, and setting you in the very place you were destined to stand. Today, when I declare that your name will be restored, I am not only speaking of honor in this lifetime, I am speaking of your name in heaven, your name in the Spirit, your name in the eternal plan. When I say that the financial miracle bearing your name will return to your hands, I am not merely giving you a temporary rescue. I am giving you the right to step into a season of abundance that you can hold without losing yourself. And when I affirm that nothing of yours is overlooked, I am reconfirming that my love for you goes far beyond your understanding. My child, let this sink deep into your heart. I have never taken my eyes off you. Even when you think you have gone astray, I am still right behind you, watching each trembling step you take. Even when you lose your sense of direction, I keep the path so you do not slip out of my hand. Even when you feel like giving up, I hold your very breath so you can keep walking. I come to you today not only to speak with you, I come to renew your heart, to remind you that you are not alone. not forgotten, not left behind. You are mine, and because you are mine, every miracle you need will arrive at the appointed time. Every blessing you have asked for will be considered in the right way, and every door that once was closed will open according to the rhythm I have set. Keep your heart truly steadfast. My child, do not let the storms you have gone through make you weaker. Do not let the words of people diminish the worth I have placed in you. Do not let the delay of a miracle cause you to doubt my love. Do not let any dark word turn you into a failure in your own thoughts. Let me call your name once more, not with the voice of this world, but with the voice of the one who created all eternity. Guard that tender heart of yours, for it is the place where I am weaving back every strand of your life. And when you stand firm, everything else will find its rightful place. My child, do not let the dust of weariness settle over your soul like a veil that dims the light I am kindling along your journey. For exhaustion is not the final voice, and it has no authority to block the future I have designed. There are days when you wake with a heavy heart, feeling as though there is nothing left to hold on to. Yet it is precisely in those moments that I am calling you to slow down so you can hear my voice more clearly in the midst of the chaos. The voices of fear may torment your mind. They may try to carve out shadows that make you think you are abandoned. But my voice is always there, gentle, steady, and strong, reminding you that no breeze of anxiety can drown out the words I have spoken over your life. Remember, accusations come only from the darkness, but life comes from me, and when you feel fear searching for a way to scream inside you, let your spirit rise like a warrior and declare with your whole being that you know I am greater than anything that threatens you. Speak it out, not so that I can hear, for I always hear before you open your mouth, but so that your own heart will be reminded of the truth that everything that belongs to you has not vanished, has not lost its way, has not been stolen. It is simply moving toward you in the time I have appointed, a time that never misses even a single beat. When you open your mouth and say, I believe what belongs to me is drawing near, you are not merely uttering a sentence, you are raising a new altar within your spirit, where faith becomes a flame that burns away every lie that has clung to you for so long. You may not realize it, but every time you declare what I have spoken, heaven responds with movement, and hell trembles because it knows it cannot defeat a person who still holds on to faith. And if in this very moment, as you are reading the words I send to you, your heart suddenly stirs as though something has touched a place deep inside that you rarely let anyone reach, then know for certain that this is not a passing emotion. It is not the fragile sentiment of a weak soul, but the confirmation of my Holy Spirit. He is awakening what has slept within you, affirming that my word for you has not missed its mark, that you are not standing outside the ranks of blessing, but that you are the very one whose name I am calling in this hour. I have watched you walk through broken stretches of the road. I have seen you many times want to give up, yet still choose to stand again. And for this reason I come today to say, sow this seed of faith while it is still burning hot in your spirit. Do not let it cool. Do not let your reasoning extinguish what my spirit is igniting. Act like one who believes, for faith never stands still. Faith always has a step to take. Go ahead and like that video, not as a shallow outward gesture, but as a sign that you agree with my word. Let your hand do what your heart is blazing to do. Let your fingers write down a declaration, not to impress anyone, but to seal within yourself this truth: I believe the financial miracle that bears my name will be released. Each word you write is like an arrow shot straight into the darkness, tearing apart the voices that have long told you that you are unworthy, that you can never step out of lack, that you are only a bystander in the story of others. No, you are not standing outside. You are the very one in the center of my plan. And when you share my word with others, you do not share it as someone who has already reached the peak. but as one who is holding a brother or sister by the hand and walking together out of the wilderness. The wilderness you have passed through has not been yours alone. Countless others are as dry as you once were, as thirsty as you once were, as desperate for a way out as you once were. Every time you share a word that comes from me, you become a channel through which miracles can flow. And blessing never remains at a single channel. It always passes through and returns by another, greater way. You think that when you share, you are helping others, but in truth you are opening a window of heaven over your own house. I delight in seeing you give away what belongs to me. For every time you release a word from heaven, you are affirming that you do not own the blessing. You are simply moving with its flow. My beloved child, do not hesitate to take those seemingly small actions. They are the language of faith. They are the first steps that lead you out of the old land into the land where I want you to stand firm as an heir. You do not know how many people your faith can reach. You do not know how your confession might rescue someone from the pit of their inner darkness. You do not know that at the very moment you share, someone standing at the edge of despair may be pulled back by what seems to you such a small act. Heaven does not require grand displays. Heaven is simply looking for a heart willing to agree with what I am doing. And you are that heart. Sow this seed of faith deep into the soil of your soul. Let it take root. Let it grow into shade. Let it become the testimony that you no longer live by fear, but by an unshaken trust. The seed I give you is not poor, not weak, not meaningless. It contains the harvest that is coming. You only need to keep it. Water it with my word. Guard it from voices of doubt. And then the miracle will sprout from the very place you once thought was only barren ground. And I want you to know this. Every step of faith you take not only brings you closer to the miracle, but the miracle also draws closer to you. You and the blessing will meet in the time I have ordained. For there is no seed I sow that falls to the earth in vain. Therefore stand firm. Keep the fire within you burning. Dare to speak what you believe. Boldly share what you receive. Because in those seemingly ordinary acts, you are becoming the one who opens the door for a new season to pour into your life. You are not alone. You have never been alone. And I, the one who calls you by your very name, am standing right beside you to prove to you that the time of blessing has begun to move. All you need is to believe and to walk in step with my voice. My child, when I see your quiet steps in this season of fiery testing and see how you still strive to keep your heart straight even when the burdens, again and again, seem as though they will cause you to collapse, I have resolved something deeper in my plan. I am not only saving your soul from darkness, I am rescuing an entire family line, redirecting an entire bloodline, rewriting the history of all those who carry that same family name as you. What I am doing has never been just for you alone, but for an entire generation that has been waiting for someone brave enough to rise up and break the things that have held your family in bondage for so many long years. And I tell you this, the time of that change has drawn nearer than you think. The light I am planting in your life will not stop with you. It will spread into every room, every house, every person in your lineage. Like a river springing from a small source that becomes life for an entire summer field. I am clearing the way for your household to be visited by my glory, so that the hidden corners that were once seen as constant wounds will become living testimonies of my redemption. And when I step in, no one will be able to say otherwise. For I will make this change so clear that no adversary will be able to deny it. No whisper of slander will be able to cover it, and no jealousy will be able to extinguish the flame I have lit. I have seen the years when your family has borne ridicule, the seasons when others looked down on them, the rumors that wore down the honor of your lineage like a stone cracked and broken by long-standing pools of rain. But I will not allow that suffering to become the final chapter. When I arise to act, I do not merely repair reputation. I lay a new foundation firmer, brighter, higher. The very things that once brought shame to your family will one day be spoken of in a completely different way. They will become stories of miracles, of rescue, of my power revealed in situations that seemed already closed. People will look and say, "This is the Lord's doing." You will not have to strive to prove anything, because the very transformation I bring about will be its own proof. The debts of the soul, the debts of honor, the debts of identity that your family line has carried on its shoulders will be wiped away by my kindness. The lack that once caused your household to bow its head will be replaced with abundant provision. I will not merely give enough, I will give more than enough, so that those who once witnessed your family's poverty will be astonished at the change. And, my child, what I restore is not only land or material things. I am restoring a name, the name I have held in my heart for you since before you were born, the name people despised, judged, and loaded with countless prejudices. I will lift it up before angels and before humankind. I will cause the very ones who doubted to ask themselves why such overflowing grace has fallen upon your life. And I do this not because you are perfect, but because I love you with a love that does not change. When I honor your name, I am at the same time honoring my own name, because all who see your life renewed will have to lift their eyes to me and acknowledge that no one else could have done this. Those who once mocked you will see this turning with their own eyes. Those who once jeered will be silenced. The mouths that were so used to accusing will have no words left to say, for I will clothe you with the beauty of redemption that no one can deny. When I touch your bloodline, even the damage that has stretched over many years will be undone, layer by layer. As though I were loosening ropes that have bound a family for so long, they began to think those ropes were simply part of life. You will be the first in your lineage to step into the land of true freedom, where there is no more shadow of the old forces pulling you backward. And after you, others in your household will also be drawn into that light, not because of what they do, but because of what I am doing through your life. Therefore, I want you to prepare your heart for a new season. You think you only need to be ready to receive blessing, but I want you to be ready to become a witness to my glory. I want you to lift your expectations not in the way of human calculation, but in the way of faith, a kind of expectation that knows heaven is already moving, even when the earth is still quiet. Whenever I am about to do something great, I always allow those who belong to me to sense it first as a gentle stirring in their spirit, so that they can make room for what I am about to pour out. And you have already felt that, even if you have not yet named it. I am drawing you out of smallness to bring you into spaciousness, not because you demanded something great, but because what I have long prepared has always been great from the beginning. I want you to begin preparing not only documents, plans, and practical steps, but also the capacity of faith within you. For the blessing I am about to place in your hands requires a larger space than anything you have ever imagined. The doors I open will call you to walk with a stronger, bolder, more courageous heart. You cannot enter a new season carrying the old heart, because that old heart has grown accustomed to lack and to doubt. I am enlarging your inner being so that you can contain what I am about to do. This preparation is not so you can prove anything to me, but so that you will not be overwhelmed when I open doors you once believed you were not worthy to walk through. When heaven moves, every limit that human beings have erected dissolves like smoke before the wind. What you see as unlikely, I see as done with a single word from my mouth. What you call impossible, I call a small thing in my hand. You have lived too long in caution, weighing your fears, until you forgot that I am the one who makes seas part. Dry bones live again, and prison doors burst open in the night. If I can speak the entire universe into being, Can I not turn your life around in a moment, yet I choose to act at the right time, so that the blessing does not merely change your circumstances, but transforms your heart, your future, and the destiny of an entire family line. Prepare yourself for a new way of living, a rhythm no longer driven by anxiety, but by deep trust. You will find yourself no longer as heavy as before, no longer trembling before debts, no longer shrinking back under the gaze of others, for I am rebuilding your name, and when I do that, you will walk with a confidence that does not come from yourself, but from the knowing that I am with you. In heaven, there is already a mighty movement in your direction. I have positioned angels, like skilled craftsmen, laying out every tool before beginning their work. Long locked bolts are being loosened, places of captivity are being set free, sources of provision that were once blocked are being released. All of this is bound to your name, not because you are good enough, but because I chose you beforehand. You belong to me, so the blessing that flows over you will not stop, for that blessing carries my name, and my name never acts halfway. Whatever I do will be complete, overflowing, unmistakable, resounding. I act so that all nations may see that I am the God of redemption, of restoration, of transformation that cannot be reversed. You need only keep your heart soft, your steps steady, and your eyes fixed on me. The rest I have already arranged. My child, I have seen every step you have taken. Like someone groping through the dark, yet stubbornly protecting a small flame from going out. And I understand the hidden turns of your journey that no one else has been close enough to feel. You have carried burdens so heavy that at times your soul felt as though it would collapse. Yet because you feared hurting others, you chose a smile instead of revealing the truth, twisting through your thoughts. You have kept silent about things that could have shattered another's peace, even though deep inside you longed just once to take a deep breath and pour out that smoldering despair. In the nights when you lay awake, I saw the words you wanted to say but swallowed back because you did not want to become a burden. And in the midst of all that seemed beyond your strength, you still stood up and still clung to the words I planted in your spirit long ago. You thought what I once spoke over you had faded like an old song worn by time. But in my sight every promise remains as alive and radiant as the day I placed it in your heart. Everything I have spoken about you still holds its full weight. Not a single line I have written over your life has been erased by the years. I have not abandoned even one prayer you breathed out in desperation. Much less have I ignored the tears you hid because you feared being misunderstood. Precisely because you kept walking through days that seemed stripped of hope. You remain the one my eyes are upon, the one I desire to lift when the time is ripe. You do not know that just to bring you to this very moment, I have orchestrated countless movements in the unseen realm, turning situations that seem to have nothing to do with your life. There were times I stopped you, not to make you lose your way, but to keep you from stepping onto paths that would wound your soul far more deeply. I held you back from things you thought were good opportunities, but beneath them lay traps you could not discern with human eyes. People see a closed door and assume they have been rejected. Yet you do not realize that what you called failure was often my rescue for you. Had I allowed you to enter too soon, you would not only have faced difficulties, but might have lost something more precious than everything you are asking for, that is, your very self. There were plans you cherished that seemed flawless to you, but I saw their end, and I knew that without my intervention, your heart would be worn down in ways you could not withstand. There were relationships I deliberately cut off. You suffered, but I knew their continuation would become chains that stole your sense of direction. There were journeys I prevented you from taking, not because you were unworthy, but because what awaited you there would have exceeded your capacity to endure. None of this was punishment, it was my love. So delicate and precise that you can only fully understand it when you look back. The period you called delay, I have called alignment. I am not rearranging just a small corner of your story. I am rebuilding the entire foundation of your life. I am removing things that no longer fit, waiting for people who must ripen in faith and in their own purpose, and repositioning the relationships you will need in the future. I am steering the circumstances of others so that their lives intersect with yours at the exact moment you will need them most. I am preparing opportunities you think have nothing to do with you, but in the right time, you will see them weave together like a tapestry, crafted with wisdom beyond all human understanding. What you called missed chances have in fact been stepping stones I laid down so you would not slip toward danger. I will never allow you to fall into a void of meaninglessness, even when you cannot see it. I am building a road where there has never been a road before. You have walked long enough through the realm of testing and deep enough into the night to learn how to recognize me, even when I am silent. You have learned to stand firm without anyone holding you up, to trust me even when nothing looks like my promise, to keep walking even when every sign seems to say you should give up. And it is precisely in those places that I have watched you grow in ways you yourself did not see. Your perseverance has not only kept you close to me, it has brought you to the very gate of things far greater than you ever imagined. Now, as every piece I have quietly set in place has come into alignment, as old cycles have come to a close, as what I have long prepared has reached its appointed fullness, you will step into the moment I have ordained for your life. Not one tear you have ever shed was meaningless. Not one plea of yours disappeared into the void. Not one trial you walked through was wasted. All of it has become the material by which I am bringing you into the very place I desire for you at the exact time I appointed beforehand. And now you will see why nothing ever arrived late. It has only come at the moment when heaven was ready and your heart had grown mature enough to receive it. My child, in the deepest place of the spiritual realm, there is a radiant decree waiting to be released. And on it your name is engraved in a way that cannot be erased. It is not a general verdict, not a blessing scattered evenly to all, but a portion of the plan written uniquely over the course of your life, bound to a journey that only you are called to walk. It has been weighed, examined, and sealed with approval in the courts of heaven, and the angels stand ready to take up their assignments, waiting only for the moment when you can bear the full weight of what it carries. But my child, in the midst of that preparation, currents of resistance have gathered around you, powers that quietly seek to delay, to lock down, or to divert you from that inheritance, not because they have the right to defeat you, but because they know that if this blessing were to arrive too early, while your heart is still unsharpened, your understanding not yet deep enough, your discernment not yet rooted, then that very blessing could become an unchecked fire, one that both shines and at the same time has the power to burn down everything you are holding. Many times you have thought that what I desired to give you was merely financial surplus, just a few more open doors, just some compensation for the years you stayed faithful in hardship. But I see the entire landscape, the path that lies ahead of you, the things you cannot perceive with your own eyes, the faces that will appear glad at your prosperity, while within them rise intentions that are not pure. I know well the smiles close to you that lean in another direction. I know the spirals of jealousy just waiting for a chance to tighten. I know there are those standing by only to catch one misstep so they can seize what I ordained for your life long ago. In the light of the Spirit, I see connections that seem supportive but are in fact sweetened traps. I see agreements which, if you entered into them in innocence, would become nets surrounding your destiny. You see situations. I see the whole journey. For this reason, I have held the blessing back until the soil within you was truly cleared. As a gardener turns over layer after layer of earth to uproot the hidden roots of poison that no natural eye can see, if I were to hand you the blessing while you were not yet steady, the enemy would need only a small opening to turn what is good into a snare that brings you down. It is not that I doubt you. I am guarding you in the way you least understand by delaying in order to protect. But today I speak to you with a solemnity that heaven and earth must heed. The time is ripe. The soil of your heart has been loosened enough to receive a great seed. Your spirit has been tempered through seasons that seemed like dead ends, but were in truth special favors to strengthen you in the quiet. You have learned how to rise after disappointment, to discern what is my voice and what is the voice of confusion, to keep your heart free from empty praise, to be cautious with those who draw near only to seek their own gain. This understanding did not come from books, but from the path you have lived, from the scratches on your soul that I have used as tools to build depth within you. I have seen your perseverance when everything was delayed, seen the way you worshipped even without seeing miracles, seen you choose integrity while others took shortcuts. All these things have forged a new weight in your inner being, a weight upon which I can now set blessing without causing you to break. Now you are no longer one who chases after blessing. You have become one who can steward blessing. The extraordinary will no longer make you frantic or overly proud, because you understand that what you receive is not a personal achievement, but a testimony of my faithfulness. And you know well that what I place in your hands is not meant to cast a large shadow for the ego, but to open a way for those around you, for the people I long to touch through your very life. The finances that are about to be released to you are not just so you can live more comfortably, but so that you may stand in the position I have appointed, where you become a channel of blessing, not a reservoir of ambition. I also want you to know that this time the blessing is a level of influence you have never touched before. It will not only alter your financial situation, it will enlarge the territory of your soul and expand the ways in which you can be used. When this blessing comes, doors will open that you never dared to knock on. Invitations will come from places you never expected. Opportunities will arise that will make you realize, I am not merely changing your circumstances. I am changing your position in both the spiritual and natural realms. Yet, at the same time, I will unveil to you things I once hid, scrutinizing glances, schemes lying in wait, hands that reach for you with friendly gestures but secretly aim to pull you away from the path I have prepared. You need to know all of this not to be afraid, but to be wise. For you are entering a season in which your light will provoke a reaction from the darkness. Remember that abundance does not only bring comfort, it is also a test of the heart. Many think danger lies in lack, but the greatest danger often lies in prosperity. When you lack, you seek me. When you are full, you easily lean on your own strength. When you suffer, you pray. When you stand strong, you easily forget that I am your foundation. But I have trained you long enough for you to keep a tender heart even while standing in blessing. You have learned to see blessing not as possession but as a trust, and because you have grown mature enough to put blessing in its proper place, I can entrust you with more without fearing that you will drift away from me. Today I lay my hand upon your life and declare now is the time. No more delay. No more blocked pathways. No more shadow having the right to contest the portion of blessing that bears my name over you. The angels have taken their positions, not to deliver random gifts, but to usher you into a transition that has been ordained in advance. Yet this transition comes only when the soil of your heart is ripe, and now it is ripe. You have passed through many seasons that seemed meaningless, but each one has formed a foundation so that today you can stand firm under the weight of what I entrust to you. From now on, as I open my hand to bless you, you will perceive it differently than before. You will no longer see it as a payback, but as an invitation into a new role. You will no longer panic when doors open, no longer tremble when opportunity comes, no longer shrink back when something great calls you into position. I have built within you courage, discernment, and spiritual sensitivity, so you may know whom to keep at a distance, whom to walk with, in whom to place your trust, and whom to leave for me to deal with. These things did not appear overnight. They came through the process by which I shaped you in the quiet places where no one saw, but I saw everything. And now, as you step into the blessing that has been prepared, you will find yourself more at peace in the face of trials, more stable before the words of people, more discerning before the invitations of the world. I am giving you blessing, and I am also giving you the capacity to keep it. I am releasing finances, and I am also giving you wisdom, so the blessing does not become a snare, leading you astray. I am opening opportunities, and I am also opening your eyes to see which path is the one I desire you to take, and which paths are only mirages. Everything I do is because I love you with the love of a father who knows every step you take, every thought you hold, every concern that weighs on you, and even the things you have hidden and never spoken. Therefore today I speak to you with a gentleness that is also full of authority. Open your heart, for you are about to receive what has long been yours, not because you are worthy by the standard of this world, but because I have appointed it for you from the foundation of creation, not because you have begged enough, but because I have watched your journey of faithfulness, not because you are strong, but because I have strengthened what is weak in you. Now is the time for you to take what I am giving without trembling, without hesitation, without fear. You will know how to use this blessing as an instrument I place in your hand. You will walk not with the posture of one merely receiving favors, but as one who is sent. This is not just a blessing, this is a commissioning. This is not just an open door, this is a transfer of mantle. This is not just a new season, this is a chapter of destiny you have long awaited. Even in times when you did not realize that you were waiting. And I, the one who loves you with an unchanging love, say to you, with certainty, you are ready. The ground has been cleared. The inner life has been forged. Maturity has sunk deep roots. You will know what to do with what I place in your hands. For now, you do not only have blessing, you have me. And I am enough for everything you are called to walk into, my child. When your heart is anchored in gratitude and your mind stands in the position I desire, I begin to move in ways the natural eye cannot see. I have appointed an angel specifically entrusted with your journey, and in this time it no longer stands still. It is moving forward, quietly yet with great authority, touching depths in the unseen spaces you thought had long been sealed. The things you considered expired, dead, forgotten, I am breathing life into them again, so that angel may stir systems, awaken hearts, and bring back to life records bearing your name that have lain dust-covered on the desks of men. It passes through doors you are not permitted to enter. It reaches into decisions that seemed already settled. It brings into the light matters that were once hidden, as though they were never meant to be yours. The injustices you have carried in your heart for many years have never disappeared from my realm. I have gathered them all and issued a new decree in heaven. Return to my child what belongs to them. That angel is carrying out that word exactly, bit by bit, in ways you could never imagine. It is not only touching paperwork or procedures, it is touching the intentions of those who have the power to decide the destiny of a sum of money, a project, an invitation, a recognition, the things that look like legal complications, administrative obstacles, unreasonable delays, or the technical errors you think are just mishaps are, in fact, under the control of a heavenly hand. I am realigning the systems that once treated you unjustly. I am changing the intent behind the forms that once rejected you. I am reversing the priorities in positions that hold the power to approve. I am causing your name to appear at the right time, in the right place, in the right ear of the one who can change everything with a single decision. And you will see these things unfold not with the sound of thunder, but with shifts as gentle as a door that opens by itself before your hand even reaches the knob. You have suffered loss in silence. But now I will see to it that those things are repaid not only in the spiritual realm, but also in the very reality in which you walk each day. There are amounts of money lying dormant in the system for so long that even you no longer remember them. But I remember. I remember every second you endured loss. Every night you worried because of lack. Every small prayer you thought was too ordinary for me to hear. I have not forgotten a single one of your tears. I gather them all and turn them into the basis for the angel to act today. Pending payments, postponed appointments, forgotten contracts, people who owed you and left as if they had never known you, all of these I am now summoning back into the light of justice. My angel will stir their memories, place you upon their hearts, and compel them to face what they owe, not by coercion, but because I am softening their hearts. And when I move upon a person's heart, no one can resist. I will cause those who once despised you to remember you with respect, those who once rejected you to look again at your name with gratitude, and those who once forgot you to speak of you again as a sweet reminder of the grace they were allowed to share with you. This is how I reveal myself. Blessings do not only fall from heaven, they also flow through natural channels, through people, through events, through circumstances, so that you may see that the supernatural is not distant at all, but is constantly weaving its way into your everyday life. What I have already sealed in the spiritual realm will pour down to the earth as signed contracts, unexpected bank transfers, gifts filled with favor, offerings that help you stand firm, and proposals that open a new chapter for you. When these things come, you will no longer ask, "Why me?" because you will understand that all of it has been prepared before my face. I do not only release what has been held back, I also prepare your heart so that it will not tremble as you step into a new level of blessing. I open your eyes to see the traps before you walk into them. I give you discernment to stay away from impure intentions. I grant you wisdom to steward every single portion of blessing I send. And I place within you a peace that only my children can truly understand. That peace will allow you to sleep soundly, even when the wind is blowing hard, because you know that nothing can touch what I have ordained for you. My child, true prosperity is not found in the numbers in your account. It is found in the awareness that everything you have comes from my hand. And because it comes from me, nothing can be stolen from you. When you grasp this, you will walk with the bearing of one who is protected, not panicking, not scrambling, not afraid of failure. You will learn to shut the door on lies that tell you your prosperity depends on other people. You will rise with a clear understanding that if I have opened a door, no one can shut it, and if I have released blessing, no power can stop it. I do not only give you blessing, I give you a heart that can keep blessing. I do not only bring you into a new season, I build a foundation for you so that no season can sweep you away from me. And then you will see that what I am doing is not merely restoring what you lost, but positioning you so that you may look ahead with a completely new confidence. You will no longer fear lack, because you know your source never runs dry. You will no longer fear betrayal, because you know that I am the one who guards your honor. You will no longer fear falling, because you know that once my hand has lifted you up, no one can pull you down. Every step you take in the days to come will no longer be hesitant steps, but deliberate strides of someone who knows that an angel is going ahead, clearing the way and protecting what belongs to you. And one day, very soon, when you look back, you will break down in tears, not because of pain, but because you will realize that I have always been working perfectly. Not a single season of your waiting has been meaningless. Not one of your sacrifices has been ignored. Every time you stayed faithful, even when no one saw. I recorded it in my book. You will not only see the blessing, you will see me in everything you receive. And that is the most precious part, for blessing can change your life. But it is I myself who changes your destiny. My child, open your heart and receive. The days ahead are not days of fear, but days of fulfillment. Doors that once were shut are now swinging open. Files that once gathered dust are being brought into the light. Names that once were crossed out are being written again. Promises made in the Spirit are becoming reality. Stand firm, believe, and receive, because what I am doing for you cannot be stopped by anyone. And as you step into that fullness, you will know that my love for you has never wavered, not even for a moment. You will enter an entirely new season with a heart that has been purified of every illusion about yourself, free from the misconception that you are the source of miracles, and cleansed of the quiet pride that once slipped into your smaller successes. When I lead you into the land of prosperity, you will no longer see the things that happen to you as a string of lucky coincidences, nor will you credit your own strength or cleverness. Your spirit, after so many months and years of being shaped by my silence and by what felt like endless waiting, will become sensitive enough to recognize my every movement in even the smallest details. And in that moment, you will see clearly that every open door has been arranged by me. Every person you meet is woven into the plan I crafted long ago. Every stream of provision that flows to you is not there for you to boast in yourself, but for you to understand that I am fulfilling the promises that seemed long since fallen silent. In this new season, you will learn to walk with deep reverence, making every decision on the basis of my leading and not on your emotions or human impatience. You will learn to use blessing as a tool to lift others up, not as a ladder to display yourself. And your heart will grow into a maturity you never imagined you could reach. For the blessing I have for you never stops at material things. It always reaches into the deepest places of your soul, into the areas you once thought would never see light again. What I am preparing is not simply an amount of money for you to spend, but a declaration that I see you. I remember you. I listen to every whisper you have ever breathed in the dark, and I keep those things as I would keep precious tears in my hand. You will realize that this miracle carries the imprint of your own story, stamped with all the times you fell, yet got back up, all the fears you never voiced to anyone, all the mornings when you gathered the last of your courage to keep working while feeling empty inside. This is a miracle born out of perseverance, of faithfulness, of the hidden battles you have fought when no one was close enough to see your exhaustion. And the more you understand this, the more you will know how to handle it with a mature gratitude, neither shallow nor showy, nor comparing yourself to others, because you know this blessing is not a reward for perfection, but a sign that I have heard you and have seen your whole life with a loving gaze. So I speak to you. With all tenderness, yet with firm resolve, do not abandon your faith at the very moment you are touching the greatest turning point of your life. You have come too far to turn back. You have endured too much to let go now. And I know you are tired to the point that some days you no longer want to pray. Tired until your heart feels as heavy as if it were weighed down with stone. Tired until you can no longer distinguish what I am doing from what you are afraid of. But precisely because you have stood firm through the harshest days, I come today to tell you that there is only a short distance left. If you give up now, you will lose the moment I have long prepared to lift you out of struggle. Remember that your weakest moment is not proof that you are about to lose. It is often a signal that the answer is closer than ever before, like a breath right next to your lips that you have not yet noticed. Through all these years, as you have walked through the stormy seasons of your soul, I have remained there, always closer than you thought. When you believed you were completely alone, that was when I was nearest to you, shielding you from what you had no strength to face. You do not know how many nights I placed peace in your mind so that you would not collapse, how many times I kept your family from breaking apart, how many sicknesses I stopped before they could touch your body, how many temptations I pushed back so that you would not slip away from the destiny I wrote for you. You thought you were managing on your own, but in truth, I am the one who carried you through each season of lack, without letting you lose your kindness. I am the one who kept your heart from turning bitter. I am the one who watched over your household when you had nothing left but weakness. And I have brought you to these very words today, not by accident, not by coincidence, but by arrangement, to breathe a fresh wind into the hope inside you that has almost dried up. I know that in these recent days you have felt as though your life is heading into a dead end, debts piling up, doors closing, opportunities slipping away, your honor misunderstood, your strength running out. You have looked toward the future and could no longer see even a single ray of light. And you have asked yourself whether I still pay attention to your suffering. But I speak to you now, your story does not stop here. It does not end in lack. It does not end in struggle. It does not end before the doors that have slammed shut in your face. What you are going through is only a chapter, not the whole book. I am writing about your life. Listen deep within your heart. I will not let your story fade away in wanton misery. I did not create you to end in loss and defeat. I have not led you through years of refining fire only to abandon you at this crucial moment. Every pain you have gone through has value. Every tear is held in my remembrance. And every hidden prayer you thought I did not hear has already touched my heart. You do not see the movement because it is taking place in the unseen. Like roots growing deep in the soil before the tender shoot breaks through the ground. But I affirm to you, life is rising up. Miracles are forming, and an entirely new chapter is opening. You will no longer live merely from day to day in anxiety, but you will live in the steady confidence that I have ordained a good ending for you. You will recount this journey, not in the voice of someone who was defeated, but in the voice of one who was rescued from the depths. One day, you will stand in a place of blessing that today you do not even dare to imagine. And you will say, if it had not been for the Lord, I would not be standing here. You will clearly see that your waiting was not in vain. The price of the months and years of perseverance will become your honor, because it is the proof that you did not give up in the very season when giving up was the easiest. And when you step into the new chapter, you will understand that everything I do in your life has a purpose that not only shakes your present, but also reshapes the future of your whole lineage. The prosperity you receive will not only reach your own hands, but will flow on to the generations after you, changing the lifestyle, the mindset, and the spirit of your family, just as the blessing I gave to Abraham flowed down to his descendants. The blessing appointed for you will not stop with you. It will cut off every generational stream of poverty, erase every accusing voice, stretch out every boundary line, and rebuild things that have been broken for a very long time. You need only one thing in this moment. Hold tightly to me just a little longer. Do not fix your eyes on your weariness. Fix them on my strength. Do not fix your eyes on the door that is closing. Fix them on my hand that is preparing to turn the key. Do not fix your eyes on the lack. Fix them on the inexhaustible supply I have promised to those who belong to me. You will not be forced to yield in defeat before this situation. You will rise up as one who knows who your Father is, who ordains your future, and who holds your story from beginning to end. And I say one last thing to you in this moment: what I have begun in your life, I myself will bring to completion. Not one of my promises falls to the ground without being fulfilled. You need only keep walking, keep believing, keep your heart open, for your final chapter will not be tears, will not be lack, will not be debt or despair. Your final chapter will be redemption, restoration, and fullness, the very place to which I am leading you. My child, the day will come when all that I have done in secret will become living pages in the midst of your life, an undeniable testimony of the faithfulness I have for you. The days you persevered in hardship, the tears you thought only I saw, the times you wanted to give up but stood up again because you still believed in the promise I had planted in your heart. All of these will be engraved as a testimony that echoes through generations that God never lets His word fall to the ground in vain. You once thought your story was so small, but that very story will become a torch shining for those who are staggering in the night, so they may know that the one they call upon never fails in His promises. And if right now your heart is stirring as though a warm wind were blowing through the depths of your being, this is not a passing emotion, but a sign that I am touching the deepest part of your soul. Open your mouth and receive. Use your own voice to seal what I am speaking over your life. Because the declaration of faith is not just sound, it is the power that shifts reality. When you say, "I receive it," my name will be restored. The financial blessing bearing the mark of heaven that is mine will come. Heaven holds its breath for a moment to listen, and the angels begin to move in response to those words. For only faith can activate the eternal kingdom. And, my beloved child, when you dare to express your faith, even through a small act, such as leaving a sign under this message, or sharing this word of encouragement with someone standing at the edge of despair, you are partnering with heaven in a way you cannot imagine. Every time you express your faith instead of keeping it hidden silently inside, you are sounding a trumpet in the spiritual realm, declaring that you have stepped out of the territory of fear, inferiority, and imposed silence, and into the position of an heir to what I have promised. For faith that is never expressed is like a seed never sown into the ground. It has value, but it bears no fruit. When you openly declare that you belong to me and to my word, you are sowing a spiritual seed into eternity. And that seed will sprout not only in your life, but also in the lives of people you have never met. You do not know it, but a single small act of yours today may rescue the faith of someone who is crying out to me in loneliness. I delight when you become a channel for my word to spread. For when you become a flow for blessing, I have even more reason to pour out. Do you know this? There are treasures that have borne your name for a long time, yet have remained sealed for many years, not because I did not want to give them, but because your heart was not yet in the position to hold them. I never entrust an inheritance to a heart still fragile or a spirit still weighed down by shame. But today is different. I see an awakening in your inner being. I see a new breath in your faith. I see the light of understanding dawning in you. And that very moment has become the signal for me to place in your hands the keys I have long waited to give. These keys are not lifeless pieces of metal. They are symbols of authority, authority to open doors that once refused you, authority to step into places that once pushed you out, authority to sign on documents you once could only watch from a distance. I am placing in your hands the power to open projects that seemed dead, debts you once faced in confusion, relationships that seemed closed for good, enterprises that appeared to have passed to others, and even resources you never knew I had set apart for you long ago. Oh, my child, there are things in your life that have not disappeared. They have simply been pushed into the shadows, waiting for the day I call them forth. Frozen finances, delayed contracts, forgotten opportunities, ideas that seem to have fallen asleep. All of these are awakening under the movement of heaven today. Those who once forgot your name will be stirred in their hearts to remember you. Doors that once refused, you will actively seek you out. People who once doubted you will recognize that you are the key they have been searching for. When I release things, everything begins to move, not according to human logic, but according to the rhythm of my kingdom, and you will know that it is I, because everything that happens will exceed your calculations, yet never exceed what I have promised. My child, I want you to understand, this blessing is not being formed only now. It has existed since before you were born. I have only been waiting for the day your heart comes into harmony with mine so that the blessing can be released. Your attitude, your humility, your gratitude, all of these open up the pipeline of blessing. In the past, You may have believed in me, yet still doubted yourself. And that self-doubt was like an invisible barrier that kept the blessing from flowing in its fullness. But today, with a new steadfastness in your spirit and a deeper union with me, you are standing in a place you have never stood before in your life. I see your heart opening. And when your heart opens, heaven opens with it. When you stretch out your hand, I do not only give what you ask, I give what I have prepared for you from eternity. I love you with an unshakable love, and I long to see you step into a season where everything you touch bears my imprint. Some blessings were delayed not because I withheld them, but because I was protecting you from things you were not yet ready to face. But now, as your heart has matured, as your eyes have learned to seek me first before seeking success, I have no reason left to hold back what belongs to you. Prepare your heart, for the movements and shifts taking place around you will astonish you. Every stream that seemed dry will flow with water again. Every land that seemed abandoned will bloom. Every door that once shut tight will swing open of its own accord, because your name has been rewritten by my own hand. Believe what I say, everything that was shelved, hidden away, or held back only because the time was not yet ripe, I am bringing into the light. Lost resources will return, damaged relationships will be restored, opportunities once held in the hands of others will come back to the right person, the right place, the right season. I will not only restore, I will multiply. I will not only give back, I will add more. I do this not so that you may boast in what you have, but so that you may look at what I am doing and understand that every blessing springs from my kindness. When you grasp this secret, no one will be able to steal your season of abundance, and the time will come when you will tell this journey to others, not with the voice of one who has merely suffered, but with the tone of one who has been set free. Your story will become a song of faith, so that those who are exhausted may know that I still move. You will stand before the very things that once terrified you and smile, because you know that I am with you in every step. You will see things you once thought were impossible, and you will no longer doubt that it was I who lifted them out of the darkest stretch of your life. And in that moment, when your eyes clearly see the blessing shining over your life, you will understand why I allowed you to walk through each season, the season of waiting, the season of searching, the season of shaping, the season of preparation, all so that you would not only receive the blessing but also be able to keep it. Blessing is not a reward for the flawless. Blessing is a gift for those who allow me to lead them. You have let me lead. You have allowed me to correct and refine you. And because of that, you are worthy to step into the season you have waited for so long. And now, rise and take hold of what I speak over you today. For I am setting upon your life a new move, a move of deliverance, a move of restoration, a move of prosperity with an eternal weight. What has been locked will be opened. What has been lost will be returned. What has died will come back to life. And that which bears your name will be given back to you in full. No power, no delay, no darkness can hold back any longer what I have appointed for you. For the appointed time has come, my child. The time has come for me to lift the veil that has covered what has been taking place behind the scenes of your life, so that you may understand that the answer you have long awaited will not arrive by the worn paths you are used to, nor appear from the places where you have always searched, but will come from the most unlikely, most unexpected places, beyond anything you have ever imagined. I have rearranged the journey, redirected the currents, stirred hearts that seemed frozen for so long, and caused those who once forgot you, who passed through your life like strangers, to turn back because of a prompting they cannot explain, a prompting that comes from me alone. Hands that were once cold and indifferent will suddenly become warm. Business owners who once skimmed past your name as just a number will now feel a stirring within them that compels them to find ways to support you. to grant opportunities, to open doors for you. It is not because they have simply changed, but because I have placed a trembling in their spirit so that they cannot ignore you. The institutions you thought had nothing to do with you, the offices that once exhausted you with paperwork and procedures, the places that hold the power to press the button of approval or denial, all of them will turn in a way that only heaven can orchestrate. For once my throne has decreed a thing, no system on earth can resist it. Your name, which was once overlooked and pushed aside, is now being sealed by my word. And when I seal, no force in the heavens, on the earth, or in the darkness can erase what I have written over your life with the blood of the everlasting covenant. Have you not felt as though you were standing on the brink of something great? Yet every time you were about to touch it, an invisible force pulled that fulfillment back at the very last moment. I know you have asked yourself many times, why? When I have poured out my heart, when I have corrected myself, worked hard, and prayed, do the doors meant for me still close? You thought you had failed. But in truth, you have been confronted by something your eyes cannot see. It is not because you are inadequate, not because you lack faith as you so often accuse yourself, but because the blessing I am about to place in your hands is so great that it sends shockwaves through the spiritual realm, forcing the enemy to set up obstacles to delay, to hinder, to wear down your patience and make you give up right at the finish line. What I am about to give you, my child, is not merely a simple financial recovery. It is a deliverance from every limitation that has bound your bloodline, a breaking of the accusations that have clung to your family for generations. I am not only restoring your wallet, I am restoring the honor of an entire lineage, something no one has ever even dared to ask for. Yet I have long seen that silent pain. There are assets that belong to you, but are locked in someone else's safe. There are privileges I intended for you that are being used by those who do not walk in my ways. There are gifts I gave to your family that have been misdirected and fallen into the hands of those who are not of my covenant. And now I am reopening the spiritual files, correcting the distributions that have been twisted, and drawing the transfer back to the one who carries my seal. I am shifting the flow, exchanging positions, reclaiming what has been stolen, returning what has been lost, resurrecting promises that for years you thought had fallen into silence. Each thing you are about to receive will not only be the fruit of your labor, but a declaration that the time has come, the time for you to step out of the shadow of inherited failures, to step out from the labels people have stuck on you, to step out of the tracks that a counterfeit destiny tried to impose on your life. All the delays you have faced were not meaningless. They were signs of contention in the unseen realm, evidence that what I am preparing for you is not something small to patch up your life, but a new foundation for your whole future. I want you to know that you are not stepping into this new season with only your weary hands, but with an entire spiritual backing propelling you forward. Hands you have never known are being used by me as instruments to make a way, to untie knots, to connect things in your life that once seemed unrelated. The answer will come in a way you cannot predict, because I do not want your blessing to be limited by your old way of thinking. I want you to learn this when I have ordained a transfer. No delay can hold it back. When I have spoken, it is time. Every opposing force must retreat when I have called your name. What belongs to you cannot remain forever in someone else's hands, and you will see this with your own eyes. Things that seem to slip from your hands will return in a better form. Opportunities you lost in years past will return in a more mature expression. Things that should have belonged to your family across generations but were lost will begin to flow back according to the very current I have drawn. This is not a minor adjustment, my child. This is a repositioning in the spiritual realm, a movement before which all of heaven has risen in agreement, and everything you have ever ached over in lack has only been the prelude to a season of blessing that your descendants will tell about. So do not keep staring at what has closed. Do not fix your heart on those who turn their backs on you. Do not worry about the dreams that were postponed. Open your heart to receive what I am bringing, for it will look nothing like what you have known. It is restoration. It is vindication. It is transfer. It is the evidence that you are not merely a survivor, but an heir. And what I am about to do next for you will go even deeper than what you have just heard. For I will not stop at simply returning what was taken from you. I also desire to give you what you never even dared to ask for. Yet, my child, I am not like anyone who has ever passed through your life. I do not forget. I do not overlook. I am not vague or uncertain. I am the Lord God who sees into every depth of the human heart, who sees all that has taken place in the dark, who sees every humiliation you have swallowed, who hears every word spoken about you behind your back. And I record it all, not to keep a list of charges against you, but so that one day I may use those very things as evidence for the restoration I have prepared for you. I do not merely watch the surface of your life, I search every motive. Every time you have released a sigh in the night, every time you chose to keep your heart upright when you were treated unfairly, every time you chose not to retaliate even though you could have, every time you chose to trust me when all visible evidence said otherwise, I remember every small gesture of faithfulness, every quiet decision you made to stay pure in a compromised environment, every time you refused dishonest gain even when your financial situation was pressing. All of these things may mean nothing to the world, may look foolish to others, but in my eyes they are jewels I have hidden in your spiritual record, so that at the time I have appointed, I may lean on them to advocate for you, to deliver you, and to restore you. Today, it is not because you are good enough, holy enough, or perfect enough, but because I am faithful to my own word and to the covenant I have established over your life, that I rise to act on behalf of your name. I am not doing this because you have done everything right, but because I am the one who has never broken my word, who has never allowed any of my covenants to become void, because your name has been dragged through the mud, because your name has been spoken with mocking laughter, because in the very places where you should have been honored, you were instead belittled. Today, for the sake of my own justice, I begin to reverse things. I gather up every fragment of honor that has fallen along the road of your life. I collect the scattered pieces from all the times you were misunderstood, falsely accused, and misjudged, and I fit them together into a new picture so surprising that even you will be astonished. I go into the areas you cannot reach, the conversations held behind your back, the decisions made in meeting rooms where your name was absent, the nods of refusal that you thought were merely bad timing or not a good fit, but which were in fact the result of a struggle between light and darkness over your destiny. I lay my hand on those places. I change the verdicts. I overturn the decisions that were made without consulting me. I erase the words that unknowingly locked you into a place of limitation, because of my love for your very name, and because my heart cannot ignore your groaning. I begin to restore what has been taken from you unjustly, the sums of money you were pressured to release, the opportunities from which you were pushed aside, the relationships that could have become doors but were twisted out of shape, the efforts you poured out while others stepped in to take the credit. None of these injustices have passed by me without meaning. I do not always intervene at the moment they occur, for I honor timing and process, but I have never overlooked them. Today, I declare that I am rewriting the financial story of your life, not with human ink, but with my own hand. It is time for me to open a new chapter in which you are no longer defined by old failures, old debts, old stumblings, but by the grace and new arrangements I have set for you. I put an end to the invisible declarations that once said, This is all you will ever be. You are not worthy to rise. You will never prosper. I annul the spiritual verdicts that quietly sat over your life like a sentence, refusing to let you go beyond a certain point. Verdicts you never heard, but have felt the effects of every time you tried to step up to a new level and were pulled back. You often wonder why. From such an early age, you had to go through things far beyond your strength. Why? When you were still a child, doors already closed, opportunities slipped away, adults did not believe you, and wounds of the heart came too soon. You thought that was just my lot in life, my unlucky fate. But I tell you, this hell had already caught the scent of an uncommon destiny on your life. It could read my fingerprints on your future. It recognized that if you walked out the full path I had ordained, you would become a witness who would shake many others, a living testimony that I can lift a person from the deepest pit into a spacious place. Because it saw that in advance, it sought to attack you right from the starting point, when you were still tender, not yet knowing how to guard your heart, not yet able to discern my voice from the voice of lies. The doors that closed when you had just begun to step into life were not random. Many of them were blows meant to cut you off, to make you conclude, I am not enough, to make you hesitant to knock on other doors, to make you choose to withdraw and accept a level of living far beneath what I have prepared for you. That is also why you have had to walk through such heavy battles in your work. A workplace that seemed safe suddenly became a place of relentless tension. An environment that seemed healthy turned into a battlefield. The very place where you should have been able to grow became where you were choked. The place where you poured yourself out the most became the place where you were wounded the deepest. All the times you were removed from the list, the projects snatched from your hands at the last minute, the promises of collaboration that suddenly reversed, the times you were misunderstood and blamed for what you did not do, none of these were merely human affairs. They were arrows aimed straight at the identity I placed within you. When you tasted contempt, criticism, and mockery, when you heard words like loser, useless, untrustworthy spoken over you, the darkness wanted you to believe that this was the final truth. It wanted you to take that as your own reflection, so that you would give up, stop, and no longer dare to draw near to me with boldness. Many times you have had to endure slander, twisted words about you, comments made behind your back that reached your ears already distorted. And all of these were skillfully arranged to break the pillar inside you, the knowing of who you are in me. But my child, in the midst of all that noise, I have never stepped away. When no one understood you, I understood. When no one believed in you, I still believed. When others looked at one distorted snapshot and drew conclusions about you, I beheld your whole journey, from before you were formed until this very day. When you bowed your head and thought your life was over, I still saw a chapter not yet opened. When you concluded that everything was lost, I still held the most important things in my own hands, so that no power could steal them. Now, in this very moment, I am not speaking to you merely to comfort you. I am deciding to restore your honor, especially in the area of finances, the very place where you have borne much shame, much hurt, and many feelings of inferiority when standing before others. I will not act in secret, but in the presence of others, so that those who once witnessed your embarrassment will also have to witness your restoration. I will cause things that are supernatural yet clothed in very ordinary forms to enter your home, your life, and your work without fanfare. You will begin to see what seem like coincidences occur. A phone call you did not expect from someone you thought had forgotten you existed. An offer of collaboration once postponed indefinitely suddenly revived. An old debt you thought uncollectible, unexpectedly resolved. A file long overlooked, suddenly remembered and processed in a way that favors you. You will be amazed to see the windows of heaven open not in noisy, spectacular ways, But through small details, a reply email after many months of silence, a new contract emerging from what you thought was only a fleeting connection, a side job becoming a steady source of provision, an idea I placed in your heart suddenly brought into reality. All these things will not be the result of luck, still less of the universe sending them to you. They will be the marks of my hand moving on your behalf. A name people thought had been erased from the list, a name once ignored at the bottom of the page, a name scarcely mentioned in meetings. That very name I will bring back. I will put back into the story, so that people will have to acknowledge that it is a name I myself have endorsed. I am the Lord who honors names, and when I decide to honor a name, no power can continue to trample it. Therefore, my child, do not think that the years gone by were only a wasted stretch of days. I will use those very years as the foundation for the season of restoration that is coming. I will turn what you thought was lost forever into a launching pad for the new. I will use your wounds to teach you to discern what is true blessing and what is a trap coated in sweetness. I will use the times you were rejected to open in you a heart that cherishes those who are by your side. I will use pain to deepen compassion in you, so that when you are lifted up, you will not despise anyone who still stands where you once stood. And in all these things, I want you to remember one thing: I am at work. I have begun. I will not stop halfway, and I will bring your story to the place where, when you look back, you yourself will have to say, if it had not been the Lord, it could never have been like this. My child, I am the Lord God who shapes every beat of time and weaves every detail of your life story with unchanging kindness. And I want you to know that there has not been a single moment in your whole journey on which my hand was not laid. The things you thought were random, the events you could not make sense of, the cycles that seemed meaningless, all of them are joining into a sacred map whose full picture only I can see. I have seen every time you stood up after failure, every night you tried to fall asleep under the weight of financial worries, every time you swallowed a sigh in order to hold on to faith. You think these things are too small to be worth mentioning, but to me they are living stones placed upon the altar, signs of a heart that keeps choosing to believe even when the weight again and again tries to crush hope. And I want you to engrave this on your heart and never forget: not one step of your life is stray. Not one drop of your sweat falls without my gathering it up. Not one of your prayers falls into emptiness. For I, the one who made heaven and earth, have held your life in the palm of my hand from eternity. When you walked by faith in your most depleted days, I recorded each step. Like a father watching a child persist in learning to walk on uneven ground, I did not merely watch, I upheld you. I guided you. I soothed the places in you that no one else knew were cracking. There were times when you thought your patience was producing no change, that your steps were too small to move heavenly doors. But my child, in my kingdom, no step is small when it is taken in faith. I do not demand long strides from you. I only want your steps to be true. A trembling step is more precious than a proud one. A step taken in tears is stronger than a step taken in self-satisfaction. And those simple steps have been written in my book as a beautiful testimony that you did not give up. I have also seen every time you cast yourself into faithfulness, every coin you offered to me while bills were chasing you, every act of kindness you carried out while you yourself were still in lack. You do not know how much that means. But I want you to hear clearly: what you sow out of lack carries more spiritual weight than anything you sow out of abundance. When you give away what you yourself need most, I see it as a holy seed, a seed able to break cycles of poverty, to break curses of lack, to break the darkness that has hovered over your bloodline. I have stored each of those seeds, like a gardener hiding rare seeds in a storeroom, waiting for the right season to sow them into fertile ground. And now, my child, I declare this: the harvest season has come. The financial blessing bearing your name is not a sudden intention. It was written from the time I saw you before you were formed. I have signed it with heavenly ink, a kind of ink that no time can fade. No jealousy can blur. No human interference can damage. What I have ordained for you, no power can take away. I will not leave your miracle hanging in midair. I complete everything at the appointed time. And when that time comes, nothing can stop me from bringing it to pass. Every curse that has swirled around your name, tormented your family, and made you feel less than others, all of it will be burned away under the light I am about to shine. You will understand why the scripture says, "If God is for us, who can be against us?" is absolute truth, not an empty consolation. What I have prepared for you, no one can ruin, no one can steal, no one can edit. I never write the story of your life in pencil. I write it with my own power. You have feared that you missed your season, that you were lagging behind, that you were forgotten. But remember, my timing is not like human timing. People measure by months and years. I measure by purpose and the rightness of the mission's time. When I say it is time, all of heaven moves to fulfill that word. The clouds of lack are dispersing. The dull sky over your head is opening, like a heavy curtain being drawn back from a stage to reveal what I have long prepared. You are stepping into newness, a different cycle, a different rhythm of life, a different vision. I will lead you into a new kind of life, not a life of resignation, but a life overflowing with prosperity, peace, and stability that only I can give. But my child, I need you to listen to what I am about to say, because this determines the maintenance of blessing over your life when the blessing overflows. Remember that its source is me. When your accounts increase, when deals are completed, when financial doors open wide, keep your heart tender. Many people do not fail before the miracle, but after it, because they think that success came from themselves. The enemy does not only want to strike your wallet, it wants to strike your gratitude. For it knows that when gratitude dies, the windows of heaven close. Gratitude is the very key that keeps the door of heavenly blessing from ever closing. It is not merely a feeling, but a spiritual power that causes cycles of provision to keep moving in a supernatural way. A grateful person will never run dry. A grateful family will always have a source to draw from. A grateful bloodline will become a place from which blessings flow from generation to generation. Do you see, my child, what I am doing in you is not only to change your finances, but to create a new culture, the culture of those who know they live by grace, not by their own ability. My beloved child, I desire the very best for you. And the very best is not to have a lot of money, but to have a heart that is kept close to me. For if your heart is still turned toward me, every blessing I give you will be safe. But if your heart drifts away from me, then no matter how great the blessing is, it becomes a burden. I do not want you to carry burdens. I want you to carry blessing. And for blessing to become a flowing river and not a weight on your shoulders, keep your heart of gratitude alive. When gratitude remains, heaven remains open. When gratitude remains, my hand stays outstretched. When gratitude remains, my angels continue to move all around you. Step into this new season with open hands and a tender heart. Remember that I do not only want to give you blessings, I want to give you a new perspective so that you can steward those blessings. You will see a change like never before, a rhythm of life that is not like your past, a way I move that amazes you day after day. And you will remember that it all began with one simple thing, a grateful heart. My child, when I see you stepping into the new season I have long prepared for you, I want you to understand that what I am placing in your hands is not only outward restoration, but also an enlargement of inward authority. For this very reason, I teach you to live faithfully, even in the smallest things. Those small things are not designed to torment or test you, but to refine your soul until it becomes sensitive, humble, and steady. When you keep your heart upright in things that seem trivial, that no one else notices, you are laying the foundation for the great responsibilities I am assigning to you. In heaven, every increase begins with faithfulness. When you value the little, you open the way for me to set you over much. I do not only want to give you blessings, I want to give you authority, so that you become one who can navigate, who can stand firm, who can carry my light into places others have rejected. Therefore, steward your life, your gifts, and your miracles with a genuine reverence for me. That fear of the Lord is not trembling terror, but an attitude of recognition that everything you have flows from my hand. And when you place me above all things, those blessings are preserved from every form of decay. I rejoice when I see you not only receiving blessings to keep for yourself, but learning to share wisely, to discern what flows from compassion and what comes from impulse. I want you to become a giver, not driven by fleeting emotion, but led by my Holy Spirit. Forgiving is not always love, and receiving is not always blessing. But when you give from a heart that has been taught by me, what you sow will become life to others and expansion for you. And when you give and offer, I want you to build altars in your heart not made of stone or wood, but made of gratitude, made of the very things you bring back to me that I first placed in your hands. When these things are placed in the right place before me, they become sacred marks upon your life, places where I pour out strength and protection. You do not know how many times I have kept you from disaster purely because of a sincere act of giving. For every time you return what I have given back into my hands, heaven records it as a declaration that you do not belong to fear or lack, but to the source of blessing that never runs dry, and because you have walked through deserts no one knew about. I invite you to become a source of comfort to those now walking in the very footprints you once left behind. You understand their lostness. You understand their unspoken despair. You understand the nights they dare not pray out loud because what they long for feels too far away. For this reason, when you reach out your hand to them, your heart carries the compassion I have cultivated in you through your own trials. You do not help them from a place of pity, but from understanding. You do not rescue them as one who condescends, but as one who has been rescued. That is what makes you different. I made you to be like a flowing stream, not to hoard blessing, but to pour it out. A reservoir fills and then runs dry, but a channel grows clearer the more it flows, and the more it gives, the more it is supplied. This is the mathematics of my kingdom. Those who sow generously will reap in abundance. Those who give in love will become truly rich in my sight. You never need to fear loss when you give, for your provision does not come from people, it comes from me. I know the deeper reasons why you have waited for this miracle. It is not only for yourself. Your heart is wider than you think. You think of your children, of the home you long to shelter, of your spouse who has walked with you through cold and stormy seasons, of the parents who once held you up when you could not yet stand, of those who gave you a timely word of encouragement. You do not ask for blessing merely to possess it. You ask so that you may repay kindness, restore honor, give your children a secure future, and bring hope to those who look to you. I value that deeply, for I clearly see the motives in your heart. You do not seek luxury. You seek sufficiency to protect what I have entrusted to you. You do not crave applause. You long for true peace, so that no one in your house has to tremble in fear. You do not chase glitter and show. You simply want to live uprightly, generously, and light-heartedly. I have seen these desires in you for a long time. And I know that when I place blessing in your hands, you will not use it to wound or to boast, but to build, to heal, and to restore. I have watched you through those days when you felt utterly abandoned, and yet you remained faithful. Even when an abyss seemed to open before you, you clung to my promises. You kept your hands clean, your heart tender, your words pure. Such faithfulness is not something everyone holds on to when they have been battered by circumstances. But you are different. You have passed through fire without letting bitterness take root. You have passed through waters without letting yourself drown. You have walked through my silence without walking away from me. I treasure this deeply. When I see someone keep their heart steadfast even when they do not receive what they hoped for, I know I can entrust them with greater things without fearing that pride or ambition will sweep them away. That faithfulness of yours I have weighed in silence. And now I show you that none of those trials were in vain. I know you have matured in humility. I know you do not ask for blessing to flaunt yourself, but to lift others. I know you do not seek wealth for empty glory, but to free yourself and your family from burdens that have weighed on you for many years. For this very reason, I grant you this release, not because you are perfect, but because you have allowed me to shape you, not because you are strong, but because you have learned to lean on me, not because you are worthy by human standards, but because you are loved according to the standard of heaven. I know that the blessing I place in your hands will not become a trap, because you have been refined long enough to understand that the purpose of blessing is to set free, not to bind. I trust you, because you have walked through fire and kept your heart soft. You have walked through storms and kept your eyes lifted toward me. I see in you not raw ambition, but readiness, not a craving for fame, but a longing to redeem what has been lost. Not a love of extravagance, but a dream of a life of peace. And it is precisely these things that move me to open doors for you. This is not an ordinary blessing, but a deliverance, a change of the current, a new beginning, a season of being set free to set others free that I have prepared especially for you. Now that your spirit has grown still and your heart stands open before me, come near to me with your whole honest heart, and bring before me the deepest petitions you have carried in silence for so long. Almighty God, who sees everything that human eyes cannot see, today I come before you with a heart that is both weak and longing for renewal from heaven. Please lay your hand upon my life and touch every corner that has been wounded by lack, debt, disappointment, and the invisible accusations that have pulled me down for so many years. I ask you to break every generational chain, every false label, every limit the enemy has stamped upon my name. Open the heavens and allow me to step into the season of blessing you have appointed beforehand. Lord, please direct my steps. Grant me wisdom to steward this new season, and give me a grateful heart so that I will never forget that everything I have flows from your hand. Heavenly Father, I run to you like a child running into the arms of their father after the storm has passed. You know how I have wrestled with so many concerns in finances, work, family, and honor. Now I lay all of these things before you and ask that you take lordship over every circumstance and bring me into the land of holy prosperity, where blessing does not pull me away from you, but draws me closer to you. Please break every veil of spiritual blindness that keeps me from recognizing my true destiny. Lead me out of smallness and open the way for me to step into the place of blessing you have already prepared. Father, reshape my heart so that it remains tender before you when miracles arrive. Lord, I thank you for the hand of grace that has upheld me through seasons when I thought I could no longer stand. I know that you alone are the source of every good thing. You alone are the one who makes a way when I have no strength left. You alone are the one who lights hope again when everything else has gone dark. I thank you that you have not measured me by my failures, but have measured me by your love. I thank you that you saw me in my weakness and still called my name with heaven's honor. May this gratitude burn in me forever. Father, I thank you for what you are doing that goes far beyond what my eyes can see. I thank you for the doors you have closed to protect me, and the doors you have opened when I was ready to walk through them. I know the miracles that are coming are not because I deserve them, but because you are so merciful. I praise you that you care for me with wisdom, even in those moments when I do not understand the paths you choose. Thank you for not abandoning me for even a single moment. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong and vibrant community of faith.